Well, hello and welcome. Welcome to Around the Town with Mark. I am Mark Whalen, your host, and yes, we're always glad to have you tune in and visit with us. Well, one of the great joys I get out of doing this TV show is to highlight some of the wonderful things that we have in the city of Groton and our whole surrounding area. There's so much to see and so much to do. We've got lots and lots of great services. It's a wonderful place to live and to work. And my guest today is someone that has a lot to do with making all that happen. So I'm just going to go right ahead and introduce my guest is City of Groton Mayor Keith Hedrick. Keith, welcome to Around the Town with Mark.
Mark, thanks for inviting me here. It's been about a year or so since the last time I was here. The COVID has wreaked havoc on the area, but we've gotten through it, and we've still been able to maintain services. We still have great beaches, great parks, and the City of Groton is a great place to live, work, and play.
So we're City of Groton is still open for business.
We are open for business. There were periods of time where we were partially open and then shut, and then now we're fully open. We're open Monday to Thursday from 8 to 4.
Okay.
The beaches are open. That's not true. The beach season starts in June.
Okay.
But we're going to be opening the beach this year.
Oh, good.
We're going to have concession stand this year. We will have, last year we put some restrictions on where non-residents couldn't come in on the weekends, but this year we're removing those restrictions so residents and non-residents can come every day of the week.
Is there going to be things like the COVID, is that going to affect things like the occupancy? You're going to have to limit not just the beach, but other parks in the city?
Well, for the beach, we were looking at going from 50% to 75%, but the governor has just come out with new information that later on in May, he's going to lift restrictions for outside. So we're evaluating how that is going to impact us. So we may lift the restriction to 75% and go to the 90% capacity, which is what we used to do last time. And I'm still not sure whether or not we'll require masks. It depends on what the language says in the executive orders.
Sure.
But the bottom line is we want to keep people safe. Last year, we kept people safe. We didn't have any incidents of COVID due to the beach or in any of our employees. None of our employees got COVID from the workplace. And all the residents that came in to get services, nobody got COVID. So we had protocols in place. We've also worked with Leslite Health District to do COVID testing last year. And then we worked with Leslite to establish COVID clinics. And we were doing COVID clinics. Everybody in the municipality and the utility that wanted 2 shots received the 2 shots. They got the Moderna shots.
Excellent.
Because that's what Leslite had. And just this week, we sent a mobile clinic with Leslite down to Branford Manor. So we're taking the vaccine to the vulnerable populations to get it out because there's some resistance to some populations that didn't want to get the vaccine. So we or can't get to where the vaccine is. So we're taking the vaccine to them.
Oh, good.
And this is the first step. We're going to do this again probably next month in May. And we're looking forward to continuing our relationship with Leslite. They have been tremendous with helping us get our arms around the COVID and with the protocols that we put in place and with getting people vaccinations.
Well, that's good because that tells me that the City of Groton is being proactive, which is necessary towards trying to get this thing, which is so crazy in all our lives, under control. You know, hopefully one of these days we can go about our business without masks all the time, but it might be a while.
It might be. Well, the other challenge that Leslite has is they don't find out until Friday of the preceding week how many vaccines they're going to get for the next week.
Okay.
So, and now that we've opened it up to 16 and above, we, the state of Connecticut, may face a shortage issue of not enough vaccines for the people that are available. And that's something that the state of Connecticut and the DEP is working on. But Leslite and the City of Groton is standing by to accommodate everything we can do in order to get people vaccines.
All
Because
right.
that's important, to get
Yeah.
back to a normal way of life.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that'll that would be nice. So, speaking of normal way of life, please let's just jump back a little bit and introduce yourself
Okay.
to my audience. Tell us a little bit about who is Keith Hedrick.
Okay. Well, I'm Keith Hedrick. I'm the mayor of the city of Groton. And I grew up in North Carolina. You can probably tell from my accent a little bit.
We'll forgive you.
Well, and I appreciate that. I spent 18 years there, and then I joined the Navy. I was in the Navy for 23 years. The first 12 and a half years I was enlisted, achieved the rank of chief machinist mate. I was a nuclear trained machinist mate on board a submarine. And then when I came up here for shore duty, I worked on my undergrad and my master's. And I have a master's in business administration, an undergrad in workforce education, but I also applied for a commissioning program called the Limited Duty Officer Program. And I received my commission up here, and then I did 10 more years repairing submarines. I went down to Georgia for 3 years, then I came back up here for 7 and did nuclear repair and radiological controls and things like that on board submarines. And then I retired after 23 years. And then I went to work for a defense contractor. It was EG&G, and then it got bought out by URS, and then it was bought out by AECOM, and I was the operations manager there. And then the last few years, I was also the security manager and the safety manager. So we were doing all those things, and all that experience helps me with the day-to-day operations here.
Certainly.
Right? Because I was just talking to the safety guy today, and we were talking about programs that we still need to implement. We've made a lot of progress in the 4 years since I've been here, because if you think about it, if you look at the electric, the water, and the sewer, those all have inherent hazards, and so safety is a big deal. If you look at their Parks and Rec department, with the equipment that they're working with, there's safety hazards associated with that. And then let's not forget Public Works, when they're out there working concrete or working the roads.
Oh, yeah.
And even when they're picking up the trash, you have to worry about getting hit by vehicles and those kind of things. So safety is very important.
It's more of a hazardous job than a lot of people probably think and give it credit for.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
And people don't think that we have to have the same safety standards as private industries and things like that. We fall under the CON-OSHA rules and regulations and laws. And we did have a CON-OSHA inspection a couple years ago. We came through that with minimal deficiencies, and we came out stronger and better as a result of the inspection. So we have great employees. They work hard, and they have embraced the safety programs that we've installed, and we are working. They are continuing to work forward, and we're getting better every day with safety.
Well, thank you for. I mean, you've been a very busy guy all your life. Thank you for your service to our country, from the military and submarines and everything else, and now, of course, serving us as our fine mayor. And so what has life been like as mayor of the city of Groton for you? It's obviously something that you've been good at. You've been successful, and you're looking to continue that position.
Yes, I am running again for election. I'm running as a write-in candidate in this particular case. If you were following the news, I did get defeated in the Democratic primary by 5 votes. But afterwards, when my wife and I were trying to decide what we were going to do, I had hundreds of people come up and talk to me, and they were unaffiliated and Democrats and Republicans and independents, and said, "We need you to run. So will you please run so we get a chance to vote?" And that's why I'm running.
Could you explain a little bit about the difference of the process as what we'll be going through now on May 3rd versus the first time around?
Sure. So typically when you go vote, somebody's name is already on the line. You go up and you color the dot, and you're done. In this particular case, as a write-in candidate, you have to go to 1C, because that's under the mayor, 1C. You have to color in the dot, the oval, and then you have to write my name, Keith Hedrick. That's Keithhedrick. Or you could write Mayor Keith, or you could write Keith. because there's no one else on the ballot that has Keith in it. So, but the preference is Keith Hedrick.
I'm glad you brought that up because I noticed I did get the mailing and it said Mayor Keith.
Yep.
And I was going to ask you, is there a technical problem that it doesn't say Mayor Keith Hedrick?
Well, that's a very good question. I reached out to Ted Bromley, who is the state elections official, and I asked him specifically if Mayor Keith is acceptable because that's on the campaign literature, or if Keith is acceptable, or do they have to put in Keith Hedrick? And he said, since you're running unopposed, Mayor Keith is fine, or Keith is fine, or Keith Hedrick. Okay. It's the intent of the voter, and that's what's important. It is your intent. Who are you trying to vote for? But you got to color the oval in so that the machine picks it up, and then you write in the name.
And of course, unlike the primary, this is open to far more of the population
Yep.
than the original primary where you lost by those 5 votes.
So in the primary, it was restricted to about 1,800 voters, Democratic voters. 665 came out. I received 330 votes, and my opponent received 335 votes.
So close.
And so very close, so certainly not a mandate. And so now we have, between the unaffiliated, the Democrats and the Republicans, have approximately 5,000 voters that are out there. We don't think 5,000 people will come out, but I think probably 1,700 or so could come out. That's what we had. I think 13 to 17. I know that's a wide band, but certainly more than 600 will come out. And I've been talking to people, and they understand the policies and procedures that I've had in place. One of the things that we did is, for the first 3 years, we lowered taxes. And then last year and this coming year, the taxes are going to be flat. I just presented the budget books to the council, and we've been going through them. And this year's budget is going to be flat. So we'll be flat at 4.30 mils. And so for 3 years in a row, we lowered taxes. 2 years, we're keeping it flat. There's no other municipality in the state of Connecticut that has done that.
And that's a very, especially now with the COVID and people with jobs and problems, that's a very important issue.
Well, and not only that, we have maintained all our services. Our police service is number one. Our fire department is right there. We maintain trash pickup. We maintain plowing of the roads, recycling, all that. We did not reduce any services this year or last year. In any of these years, we've not reduced any services.
And obviously, we mentioned already the beach, so that's going to continue as well. So even the pleasure part of the services are going to continue as they have, because that'll be very important, I think, this season, especially for people, because they've been caught in the house so much and restricted.
Absolutely, and if you look back at what we've done with Parks and Rec, so for capital improvements, we're putting in new windows in the Tyler House. We're going to finish that.
Yep.
In the last couple of years, we put new decking in, new flooring in. So we're doing a lot of renovations to the Tyler House. We put new lifeguard chairs in with new fence in. We've also put the playscape that's at the beach. We put a new compound material so that if the children fall off, they land on something that's energy absorbent, it's bouncy. So that's good. We're going to continue with renovations in the park, so we're doing that.
Right.
But last year we did a lot of COVID-friendly things. Just recently we did the egg extravaganza, where people could drive through, and we gave kids Easter eggs filled with toys and candy.
Oh, good.
Last year we did the Scarecrow Trail, the decorations, the holiday decorations. We also had a trivia night at the beach, which was a tremendous success. So the Mary Hill with Parks and Rec has done a great job with family-friendly programming to get people out of the house. Last year we were able to do COVID-friendly concerts in the park, and we are going to continue to do concerts in the park this year in affiliation with Groton Utilities. So we will still have things for people to come out and see us in the city of Groton. So there's a lot of reasons to be here.
So it's very important that the feel-good stuff is still happening, and if I think sounds like it might even be expanding,
Yep.
because that's, like I mentioned, that's so important right now.
It is.
For people to have something good to hear and to do, instead of just, oh well, I can't go out because.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and other things that we've done, we've had food giveaways, farms to families. So it's a USDA program. Some of that is with the Jim and Moran Center. Some of that is with Ernie Kochmeter and the food program with the schools. And we have given away 30-pound boxes. They have milk and dairy products, fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, some proteins in there, and they weigh 30 pounds. And one time we gave away 1,120. One time we gave over 1,000. We've had 2 or 3 that we've given 400 and 450 boxes. Sometimes it's at Washington Park, sometimes it's at St. John's Christian Church, but it's another thing that we're able to do that. And some of the volunteers that are there are from our PACT committee, which is Police and Community Together. And this is a committee that Chief Spellman formed after the Black Lives Matter movement came in, and people were talking, they came and they protested and they came to our doors, and Chief and I were on the steps and we waved them in and let them speak, and we talked to them and said, please stay involved. And one of the things that we did locally in the city is we developed a PAC. And that group, that committee, is advisory to the police department. But every month, we meet every month, and the chief gives them reports about what's going on. They give feedback from the community. And this is a way to branch any divides between the city, between the police and the community. These guys worked together to had a backpack giveaway in December with the coat drive and toy drive and those kind of things. Gave away 500 backpacks, which was tremendous.
Wow, that's a lot.
And they're out there when we do these food drives and the events to give food away. These volunteers are part of the volunteers that are helping. So these are members of the community that are helping the community and helping to continue with our community policing. Our police, as a philosophy, we have community policing where our officers are out there every day in the community, talking to people, interacting with the children, interacting with adults, so that when they do have to respond, people will see them as people first and not as a uniform.
I appreciate that, because where I live on my little street, I'm often out working in the front yard or something like that, and the police car will go by and they'll wave.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're friendly. You wave, they'll wave back.
Right.
It's not like, you're not doing anything wrong, so I don't care about you.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm thinking of two events that probably won't be happening, unfortunately.
Okay.
And one of them is my favorite, as I always love to volunteer. Groton City Day, of course. Yeah. That obviously can't happen again this year.
We have talked about that this year. Initially, we were going to say we're not going to do it because of the restrictions associated with COVID. We now have to revisit that. That's the first Friday in August.
Oh, because of the outdoor
Because it's
possibilities.
outdoor.
Oh, okay.
But we'll have to look at social distancing and masking requirements and what the governor's executive orders give us. Because if you've ever been to one of these things, there's hundreds of people that come to this.
I love volunteering.
Right?
I love being there. It's fun.
It is.
Everybody's happy. It's just a lot of energy.
A lot of energy, and we do a lot of things for the kids, and we do the fire department, the police department, Groton Utilities have booths that they set up to demonstrate what kinds of things that they do to educate the community. We do things about water preservation and green energy and conservation and how to recycle. There's just lots of things that we do down there.
Yeah.
And but we have to determine, is it safe? Is it safe, and can we do it this year? If we can, we will. But if we can't, we'll make sure that we put it out and publish it and go from there. But you're right, that is a great event.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
So much fun.
Yeah, I have been hearing a lot on the news just recently about the discussion about outdoors and
Sure.
and masks and what can happen and what not. So I guess it's still out there floating around.
It is.
Yeah.
I think the more vaccines that we get out, the closer we are to herd immunity, then we'll start being able to lift some of the restrictions. The concern that we always have is the reportability rate and the rate of people going in the hospital. And with the new variants, we worry about will there be new variants, and what does that mean to us? And I'm on a weekly call with Steve Mansfield, the director of Ledgelight Health District, and he talks to us and talks to the COG, Southeastern Connecticut Council of Governments, about what's going on in this area, and then we make decisions based on that.
Yeah, I'm not someone that does Foxwoods or anything like that, and I was bemoaning to myself, oh, I've got to go there twice to get my shot. And I said, oh, Mark, shut up. Come on.
Yeah.
Just shut up and go and do it. Get it over with.
So we were pretty lucky. We have established and we have used the auditorium.
Okay.
And so we've been able to use the auditorium. There have been times that we've vaccinated as many as 200 people in a day.
Oh.
The
Sorry, I missed that one.
Ledgelight Health District, those guys are tremendous.
Oh, great.
And they are, I'm sure they're tired by now because they are always going and they are doing everything they can. When I got my second shot was at the Jennings School over in New London, and it was the same group of people and volunteers that had done it in other places. So
Good.
They're all over the place.
And that's important because not everyone can make it. Not everybody has a good card. Not everybody can get to Foxwoods
Right.
and do that. So having it a local source is obviously very critical
Sure.
for that.
And like I said, now what we are doing is we are identifying vulnerable populations, and we are taking the vaccines to them. And
Yeah.
that's a good thing.
That's a very good thing.
Yeah.
Farmers market.
Okay, so I love the farmer's market. The farmer's market had dwindled down to where we had 4 vendors.
Oh, really? Oh, no. Oh, I know how that is.
Well, that was last
I know how that
year or
happens.
so. And I was complaining about it and said that the city could probably do a better job of running it. Next thing you know, somebody called me and said, I heard you said you're going to take it over. And I said, no, but I'd like to. And we had discussions with the people who were running it, and I got Mary involved, Mary Hill, the Parks and Rec director, and I got involved, and we decided that the city would take it over. We hired a market master, and her name is Megan Aikman, and she has done a tremendous job. At the end of this year, in the summer, we were up to around 11 vendors, and we had 2 farms that were there. Next year, we're probably going to have 3. And then not only that, so typically we would end around July, August, somewhere along in there. But this year, we continued it on into an indoor farmer's market at the municipal building.
Oh, great.
So you would come in and there were a couple vendors outside, and then we had it socially distanced and set up. You had to wear a mask, you had to social distance, but we had it set up, and we had probably 8 or 10 vendors in the farmer's market there. We just held our last one in March, and we'll pick back up, I think, June or July. July is the first one, but June, I think we're going to do a special one, a preview one, and get back to starting again in the new year. Because the farmer's market gives people access to fresh fruits and vegetables.
Sure. Yep.
And the city of Groton is designated as a food desert. So this is an opportunity. The reason I wanted to keep the farmer's market here is so that everybody can have access to food
Excellent.
and vegetables.
Excellent. Well, that type of what you just mentioned about coming in and saving, I don't know if you remember, but I was asked to take over Art and Groton Bank a number of years ago because that was failing.
Yep.
And I was very proud to turn that around, and at least for a few years before COVID, we made that a success.
Yep, you did. It was tremendous. I mean, you had lots of vendors there with different kinds of artwork, not just paintings and things like that, but there was woodworking and tile working and jewelry, and and those kind of things. And
I was proud of my work there.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It was wonderful over there.
Good. Well, we're down to our last 5 minutes or so.
Okay.
So please, is there anything that I haven't asked you, or topics that you'd like to get in while we have a few minutes? About perhaps any more of your plans or accomplishments?
Well, economic development is big on the horizon. Some people are talking
Street.
about Thames Street, and when I'm talking to people at the doors, they're like, why can't you just wave a wand and make Thames Street back into 1960 again? And
Yeah.
part of the challenges there is a lot of the not vendors, but a lot of the occupations don't exist anymore. But another problem is we have a challenge down there. I have one owner that owns 14 properties, and he's interested in using them for rental properties for people to live in, and not turn them into shops and things like that. That's a challenge.
Yeah, you drive down Thames Street and you see all this wonderful waterfront. And anywhere else on the globe or in Mystic, it would be,
Well,
buildings.
and so we're working with him to try to encourage him to change his mind.
Okay.
Other thing that we're doing, I just received information that I have a grant from the Connecticut Port Authority, $649,000 for the docks that are down on the waterfront down there, to put 8 26-foot boat slips there.
That's wonderful.
So that's going to be great.
That's
and
great.
we're going to do a $75,000 study to figure out how to reconfigure the Thames View Park, the lower part of that, and so that we can get people from the street down to the docks. And we're going to be doing that in the near future, and that'll be an impetus for development on Thames Street.
Great. Well, we are a water community.
We are.
And in a lot of ways, between the military and Coast Guard and everything else, so making use of that can only help, I think, everybody.
Well, and the challenge with economic development is this doesn't come overnight. To get this grant, now COVID took 1 year out of it, but it took us an additional 1.5 to 2 years to research it, to get it ready, to submit the grant and all that. So,
Anytime you talk about money, there's a process, and it's not an easy one.
But we are working on economic development on Thames Street. That is a priority, and we're going to continue going in that direction. I know the council wants to go in that direction, and and our economic development specialist is going to be working with the community for community outreach to say, what do you want to do? And then after the election, we're going to be establishing a community committee for Thames Street to work on ideas for redeveloping Thames Street.
Perfect. Well, Keith, I want to thank you for everything that you've done for the city of Groton, everything that you will continue to do when you are reelected as our mayor of the city of Groton.
Okay.
And thank you for being my guest today.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure having you once again, and hopefully another year from now we'll be talking about your accomplishments of your next 360 days.
Well, that's great. Thank you, Mark.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
All right, and I want to thank my viewers for tuning in today. Obviously, I've had a great guest, Keith Hedrick. Please get out there and vote on May 3rd. And it's your right to vote. If you don't vote, then I don't want you to complain. So get out there and vote. And looking forward to a wonderful summer with less COVID, perhaps, like we've been talking about. Get out to the beach, have fun. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll have another show for you very soon.